Okay, next guy, Ken. My favorite character of the beta. Probably my favorite character when the game launches. They've always had issues making Ken be the, personality-wise, he's always been more arrogant, flashier than Ryu, but in the earlier games with limitations, that just pretty much meant he had more hits on his moves, or they were faster frames, less frame startup. But that gets kind of old. They got a little better in 4 by giving him more command normals, but it didn't really fit. It didn't really do much. But this game, I think they did a really good job. Now you can see he has the MMA rash guard instead of the gi. He has the gi, it's around his waist, but it would make sense in the real world. Ken, the story is Ryu was more traditional and Ken is more modern, and Ken moved to America and started winning a bunch of American tournaments, and it would make sense for him to get into the MMA craze. So it makes sense for him to wear MMA style clothing. And then they fiddle with his moves. His Hadouken and Shoryuken are still very similar, but his Tatsu they had a lot of fun with. So now his Tatsu goes in an arc, kind of like in Marvel's Capcom games, and he has an EX Tatsu in the air, and it's a dive kick, which is really cool. It totally fits his style. And they didn't want to give him a regular dive kick because then he wouldn't really be a Shoto anymore. So they gave him the EX version, so he can only use it at certain points, but it fulfills the purpose of him. And then his V skill and V trigger are awesome. I love them. The characters I like are the ones who have a good mid range, but also some offensive tools. Kind of a balance, not too offensive, not too defensive, but more leaning toward the offensive side, but having a good amount of defensive and mid range options. And with his run and his V trigger, which also runs, he can do all that stuff. He gets a huge combo extension. He gets a lot of pressure strings. A lot of people were falling to his normal, and then you command run his V skill, and then he threw combo thing was throwing people like that, where he would fierce command run and then throw them. That's not going to work nearly as much once the game comes out, because people will learn how to deal with Ken. So you can't. His V skill is pretty unsafe. You can hit him out of it if he's not if he doesn't cover it correctly. But you just have to use it more sparingly, which is fine. It gives him a lot of potential. There's no other V skill or V trigger in the game that helps with crush counters, because crush counters are going to be a huge part of the game, and it knocks the opponent back. A lot of times you have to dash up, maybe just get a jab, but he can fierce crush counter and then run up, fierce again, V trigger, fierce again, into EX, into light Tatsu, into EX Shoryuken, tons of damage. So it's very cool. I love Ken. He has great forward movement options with his walking axe kick and his walking step kick, and his step kick counts as his V skill, so he gets V trigger meter off of it, and it's a great poke. He has great overheads. He has all the Shoto stuff that's familiar. So yeah, Ken is awesome. I love Ken. I can't wait to play more of him, and I can't wait for the next beta phase to start so I can play more Ken. Next we have Necalli. Kind of a disappointment. I think he's kind of cool, but the fact that they made his main horizontal claw strike a charge motion really hurts. It's the beta though, so it could change. I think he started out as a full charge character, then they changed him to full motion, and then they changed him to partial motion, partial charge. I think his main claw strike needs to be a motion. I think having that as a charge when he's supposed to be an offensive character. I mean, he's obviously an offensive character. He has a dive kick, he has a command grab, he has horizontal moving moves. He has a bunch of offensive cancels, so he's definitely supposed to be an offensive character. So to make his main offensive tool a charge is stupid, and I really hope they fix it. I don't like charges. I don't like not having access to a move I want at the time I want it, just because I wasn't holding back for a second and a half before. And also it's pretty unsafe, especially as a charge move. If they keep it as a charge move, the jab version should be safe. As a kind of a free pressure tool, and then the medium and the heavy versions are the ones that are your main damage ones. I will admit that the Claw Slash is a really good footsie tool, because it pretty much can hit off of any normal that hits back. So if you hit their limb and you empty cancel into the Claw Strike, then you'll pretty much get a free 2-hit combo and a knockdown. But yeah, aside from that, I think he could be fun if they don't change his charge motion into a command motion. I probably won't play him. If they do, he'll be a fun alternate character I'd stick around in casuals with, but yeah, he's we'll see what they do with him. For Vega, okay, Vega's next. So apparently, Vega's really good. I didn't play any good Vegas, so I can't talk too much about him. But I think they've designed him much better. I think in 4 he was really lame because of how lame the game system was in 4. He was always supposed to be this tricky character. If you look at Super Turbo, how fast his wall dives were. He's supposed to be a tricky character who flips around the screen and does all this weird stuff and then kills you like that. But in 4, his wall dives were super slow, and he just became a generic footsie character, and that's really a crappy way for Vega to be. So I think they did a really good job here. They changed the command motions, which is crazy. I think that's good because if he's going to be zipping all over the screen, you want to be able to zip instantly. And he has, it seems, I think it's his V skill, but he has a lot of moves that are invincible, which is always how he should be. He should be a character who kind of feints and then, you know, parries an attack and then hits you back when you're recovering. That's the tricky part of him. So I think that's cool. I didn't see anyone take the claw off. Apparently he has a command grab in it. That's cool. I think it's a cool take on Vega. Apparently he's really good though. Hopefully he's not too broken. He is very safe on a lot of his stuff. So we'll see how he turns out. Armika. Armika I think is a cool character. I don't really care much for her as a, you know, I never played Alpha really. I think she was low tier in there, but she has the same philosophy I was talking about. This is kind of a good example of how to make grapplers effective. Is you have to make, I mentioned on Birdie a little bit, but her is just a good example too. You have to make their attacks, their strikes, scary, because if you don't, then everyone's just going to jump away from you constantly because, you know, why should I stand there and get grabbed if I can just jump away constantly, you know? But with the strikes, you scare them, you force them to block, and then when they're stuck blocking, you grab them. Like I mentioned in the Birdie one, this is how Potemkin was really good in Guilty Gear, and it's just how you design a grappler. And then this is how Snake Eyes really pushed Gief really far in Street Fighter, but farther than anyone really before, at least in the West, had done with him. Is Snake Eyes' strike combos are incredibly scary. He constantly hits you out of your jumps, and he counter hits you constantly. His footsies are amazing. And so that's what Armika has. A lot of her normals move her forward and are plus, so they seem plus on block. They jump over stuff, and they come from weird angles, so she kind of scares you with those attacks, and then her throws are super fast. I don't know, all grapplers are pretty much very low frames to get the throw, but her throws are crazy. They're punishing stuff that no one else was punishing. So I think she fills that purpose well, and it's cool to see a few other grapplers. We'll see how she plays. Okay, last two characters, Rashid and Karen. So Rashid, normally I'd hate his character type, to zip around, do weird stuff, vortex, just be random and win off of it. But I think he's cool in this game. I think he fits. I think he's there where he needs to be. The people who like that play style deserve to have a character who can play that style. I think Cammy will be similar to that too, maybe Vega, but Rashid will definitely be like the Fuerte Viper style. You know, I mean, I get a character I like. You know, if people want to play the game, they should get a character they like to play. And with this game, it's not going to be nearly as bad because of quick get up and alpha counters. In 4, you're very limited. If you got knocked down, you're stuck knocked down. Maybe you could delay get up, but it was pretty boring. You didn't do much on block, on defense, which is why I don't like 4. But in 5, you have quick get up, you have alpha counter, you have whatever else. So he's not going to be nearly as annoying, and he seems unsafer on some of his moves than Viper and Fuerte were, which is cool. You know, if he does a really bad read and you block it, or you get a good read on his attack and block him, you get the punish you deserve. So there's some videos floating around. I think Richard Wynn was doing some crazy stuff with him. Yeah, so I'm cool with him. I'm glad he exists in the game. People who want to play him can play him. I'll probably fiddle around with him just for fun, just to, you know, get to know him and whatnot. You'll have to know how to fight him if he becomes popular, because you know, a good way to learn that is to play him yourself and learn the moves he can do, see what his limitations are. Let's see next. Okay, lastly is Karen. Karen reminds me a lot of Tekken characters. Tekken characters and Tekken the game in general is a lot about memorization. It's about memorizing tons and tons of strings and moves and knowing what your opponent can do off of what. And if you knew it, it would help you a lot. And if you didn't, you could just outright lose because you didn't know a string could go high, low, or throw, you know? So she's a lot like that. She doesn't have 100-something strings like Tekken characters, but she has a good amount of strings, and then she has her V-triggered strings. She's going to be strong out the gate, in my opinion. People are not going to know what to do against her and have trouble stopping her. She's going to do her cross-ups and all that crap. It was very frustrating. Online, pretty much the only person I lost to when I was playing the beta was mainly Karen players. I think I lost every single one of them. And, you know, it's frustrating, but at the same time, it's just because she's unknown right now, which is fine. I think when the game comes out, you know, as I was just saying with Rashid, people will probably have to learn her just to learn how to fight against her. You have to know what her strings can do. Once you learn what her strings can do, she becomes a lot less terrifying, and that'll be critical. Apparently this morning I found out they just added, she has a just frame now, so she's even more like a Tekken character, which is crazy. I said the Tekken character thing, I was thinking the Tekken character thing way before this morning, and then I find that out. But yeah, she could be cool. A lot of people were excited about her. I wonder how many people have actually played out alpha, but whatever. Whatever gets people hyped about the game is cool. Yeah, so see what she does. You'll probably have to learn her to fight her, and you know, she'll do what she does, and hopefully we'll see if people actually like her as much as they wanted to. Alright, that's the whole cast for now that's been released. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll be streaming whenever the next beta phase is up. You can find a link to my stream in the description, or if you don't want to look down there, it's twitch.tv/blackoutsfv, same as the YouTube channel. Cool, thanks guys, see you around.